everybody, Ram Dean and Black with you here in our downtown studios. UFC 207 loses a big bout as the former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez forced to pull out of this fight again with, not again with Fabrizio Verdum, but yes, again with Fabrizio Verdum. He's not taking part. Injuries are just too much for Cain Velasquez. I like this. If you're too injured to fight, don't do it. I know a lot of fighters feel pressure to go in there when they're injured, and this could, could affect their happiness and their health moving forward. Cain Velasquez, been a heavyweight champion. He's made a chunk of change. If he can afford to stay away from the game and get himself healthy, shouldn't he?
Well, he's declared medically unfit. He wanted to fight. Yeah. Dude was like, I'm fighting. And they're like, we are professional doctors. We have spent a lifetime studying medicine, and we say you can't do it. And the UFC has no ability to clear somebody. Fighters don't have the ability to clear themselves. It all goes.
Can you go get second opinions? Can you go to different places and say, oh, look, this doctor's willing to clear me based on these things?
It's possible, and there have been times where there's something wrong. We had Sokaju fighting here when we were working on a show, and somebody had found some inconsistencies with an MRI, and a specialist was like, no, that's just how the shape of his skull works. That is incorrect. But if somebody's like, no, medically you can't do it, also, most doctors want to see that, and most won't go around another doctor. But, you know, the big conversation that people will have is, oh, you know, these guys train too hard. Luke Rockhold has been injured. He has been the middleweight champion of the world. Cain Velasquez has been the heavyweight champion of the world, also injured. And Daniel Cormier has been the light heavyweight champion of the world. He has been injured and missed fights. So, like, these guys got to train lighter. You know, they're training too hard. People, what we don't get sometimes, we don't think, we look at single ideas, is that all of these things are connected. How a fighter creates himself, how anybody creates themselves is a stew of many things, each of which affects the other. And if you say, Cain Velasquez, do exactly everything you've always done but spar less hard, he may never be the champion. Because it's not just the hard work and how hard they push themselves, but psychologically overcoming for Daniel the threat of Cain Velasquez for 5 rounds, the grind of doing it, the mental training of overcoming that created Daniel Cormier, created Luke Rockhold, created Cain Velasquez. You remove some of that, and they are not the same guys. You can't just go, well, wrestle instead. You have to recreate everything, because who you are, the fundamental building blocks of who you are psychologically and physiologically as a fighter is all designed in that room from all of these different ingredients of that stew. And you take potatoes out, the stew is entirely different.
Should they be taking their opponent into consideration? Now, this is the second time that Cain Velasquez has had to pull out of a fight with Fabrizio Verdum, who was busting his butt. He uprooted his life and moved to Mexico City, and then that fight never materializes. Should your opponent be taken into consideration, because they're putting in the work too, and now there's no reward for Fabrizio Verdum? Meanwhile, he was getting up early. There were the sacrifices being made for him, but now that date doesn't exist.
I hate to say it, but too bad.
Tough, yeah.
Yeah, tough, man, because I can't. If I'm worried about my opponent, and you know what's, oh man, I better not say that about Cody Garbrandt, you know, that's mean. That was designed to affect your opponent negatively. It's all designed to give yourself advantages. And well, let's call it a chili. You know, this chili is designed to make Cain Velasquez win. If you go, well, you know, Verdum doesn't like beans, that chili sucks. You ain't gonna win any awards with that chili if you take beans out of it. It's a complex stew, it's a complex recipe that creates what these guys are. And you cannot just say, same thing, only spar less hard. You won't get the same fighter, you won't get the same results.
What's interesting, you and I were just having a conversation with Cruelin, talking about how the evolution of martial arts, and we were talking specifically about Thai boxers and how they have a way traditionally that they've done things. And I've talked to so many fighters that feel that style is damaging to them. The idea of the 10,000 kicks. You don't need to, practice kicks 10,000 times to get a full understanding. Instead, you're breaking down your body. Can you not change the formula and still be successful?
You must change the formula. But that's what I'm mentioning is often the result is these guys spar too hard. It isn't these guys spar too hard. It's we must change everything. If we remove the results, the physical and the mental and the test results of sparring that hard, we must make those up somewhere else. So you must change the whole formula. Just removing something from the stew or adding something from the stew changes the whole stew. You have to change everything. How are we going to address those psychological tests? How are we going to address the fact that this puts you in shape? How are we going to address the fact that when you go to round 5, because you've done an 8th round with Cain Velasquez, you can handle round 5? All that has to be addressed. And if you change it, you'll change everything. On some level, all we may be seeing is with the ebbs and the flows of how training philosophies happen, is these guys became champions, it made them champions, and now it's over. And now it's over. And that may be where they're at.
A very strange time in the UFC's heavyweight division. Of course, we'll keep our eyes on Cain Velasquez, and we'll anticipate his return to the Ultimate Fighting Championship.